I got to be honest, I can't believe we're 14 mock drafts in already, but that's where we sit. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham. Post Senior Bowl mock draft. If you guys watched the game, hope you enjoyed it. Before we get into it, can we do it? This is a big milestone to hit, big challenge for you guys that haven't subscribed, thanks to all 86,705 who have. I want to reach 100,000 subs by the end of the NFL draft. It's lofty. We're less than 3 months away. I don't know if it's realistic, but that's my goal. I would love it if you helped us out. Hit the subscribe button. We're publishing 2+ videos per day. We're going live 2 to 3 times per week. Less than 14,000 subs from 100K. Can we get there by the start of May? That's the end of the NFL draft. If we can, that would be dope. Hit that sub button to help us out. All right, let's dive in here. Mock Draft 14.0. There's been a lot of Caleb Williams internet drama as of late, but that's where I'm going. Round 1, pick number 1. The USC quarterback is the selection here. We don't have to beat into the ground, his skill set and all that stuff, like the debate with Justin. I mean, it's a bit exhausting at this point, for being completely honest. But I just think at this point in time, if you ask me what I think is most likely that they're going to do at number 1, I think it's draft Caleb. Could that change? Of course. Am I going to do mock drafts where I mix it up? Yeah, I probably will. But right now, I do think this is the lean, so Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick in this Bears mock draft. And then something you've seen often, and we've done it a couple times here, is if one of the top 3 receivers is sitting there at 9, it's almost an automatic pull the trigger. Odunze was there at number 9 in this mock, and if you get a Caleb Williams, Odunze combo, I think you'd be pretty darn happy. He was a monster for the Huskies the last couple of years, especially this season. I heard an interesting comp the other day. I think Adam Hogue may have said this. Can't remember. I don't want to get it wrong or right, so I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I want to get it right, but I don't want to miscredit who said it. And I agree with this assessment. Odunze is kind of just a bigger DJ Moore. He can catch contested balls. He's really good after the catch. He plays through contact like DJ does, gets a lot of yak, but he's taller. So it'd be fun to have another one of those guys on your football team. He can go up and get it, too, with that 6'2", 6'3" size. So getting a big-time receiver opposite of DJ, I think is a big priority this offseason. And there's an opportunity to get that one potentially with the number 9 pick if Odunze or Neighbors is there. All right, trade alert. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Going to trade into the second round because the Bears don't have a second-round pick. 36 and 102 to Chicago for Justin Fields. In this mock draft, believe it or not, Washington took Marvin Harrison Jr. with the number 2 pick, and there's been some chatter recently. If they can't get Caleb Williams, they may not go May or Daniels number 2. So if they don't, if they take Marvin, they probably enter the Justin Fields market at that point in time, and you can get a second-round pick from them. You get a 4th here as well. So I think Ryan Poles wants to get into the second round to replace that pick he traded for Montez Sweat with Washington at the deadline. And who I'm going to take here was a Senior Bowl standout, Lad McConkey, the wide receiver out of Georgia. This kid has some juice, man. Like, he's a really good route runner. He can separate. He has strong hands. On Friday, Jim Nagy tweeted this out as players were vote on best player best player at every position. And Lad McConkey got the award for that, for top wide receiver of the American team, in a vote from teammates for practice player of the week. And remember, at the Senior Bowl, the practices almost matter more than the game because, look, the game's a bit unorganized. There's not a lot of concepts that teams are working through, so the practices are really important. And several receivers stood out, and the fact that McConkey stood out the most, I think, speaks a lot of volumes there. Yeah, double dipping at receiver, I think that's very much a possibility depending on what happens in free agency. All right, guys, Prize Picks, today's sponsor of Chicago Bears Now. Listen, you got to download the Prize Picks app at prizepicks.com/CLNS. It heavily supports us here at Chat Sports. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. It can also support your pockets if you know what you're doing. Daily Fantasy made easy. It's very simple. You pick 2 to 6 players on any given entry. You can cross over sports. I've got a Super Bowl entry here. Obviously, you can cross over NBA, college basketball if you want, but sticking it with the Super Bowl here. Patrick Mahomes, they got a deal right now, more or less than half-yard passing. Free bread there. Get the more. Then I got Pacheco finding the end zone. Deebo Samuel less on his receiving yards. Christian McCaffrey more on his receiving yards. I like this 10 to win 100. I think there's really good value here. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. Rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andrew Schultz, they're playing Prize Picks. You can too. Join the movement. Link is in the comments and in the description. Click and sign up today. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS to get that deposit match up to $100. Let's get another Georgia Bulldog in here. Javon Bullard, the safety for Georgia, who, guess what? He was at the Senior Bowl. Guess what? Named the top safety on the American team. Jim Nagy with the tweet once again. Running back and receiver teammates voted on this one. Bullard standing out there. So, listen, we know the Bears value the Senior Bowl. Last year, they took 3 or 4 players from the Senior Bowl. They had a big presence down there. This year, they have a couple of coaches coaching down there, and Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, and other coaches were in attendance watching these guys. They value that all-star game. I can guarantee you they take at least one player from the Senior Bowl, if not multiple. All right, Blake Corum. This is just value. Blake Corum in the 4th round. Production was off the charts for the Wolverines. I think he had 25 touchdowns this year or something like that. And the Bears need a running back. They need to add someone to that room. You add him to the room of Roschon Johnson and obviously Khalil Herbert. I think that's your 3-headed monster there. I feel pretty good about that trio. Michael Hall Jr., guess what? Senior Bowl, round 4, pick 110. He might find his way on day 2 now. He had a pretty strong week. He could go 2nd or 3rd round here. Bit of a tweener. He's like 280, 285. So is he a 3-tech? Is he a big edge in a 4-3? It's hard to say. Maybe he moves around some like a DeMarcus Walker type. But Jim Nagy, again, with the tweet that with the votes from offensive line teammates that he won the practice player of the week. Again, what does that tell you? Had a strong week. Teammates like him. All that stuff matters. The Bears talk about culture and character and being a good teammate all the time. Effort, hard work. All 3 of these guys that we've selected from the Senior Bowl seem to check that box. All right, round 4, pick 122. Zach Zinter, interior guy for Michigan. He might go on day 2. It'll depend on how teams view his recovery process with that broken leg. Now, it sounds like it was a clean break, which is good. It's going to be a long recovery, but he's already ahead of schedule. He was doing some treadmill work recently, according to reports. I think he'll be ready for training camp. I think he's got starting guard in his potential. Now, ideally, he's a backup as a rookie, but then you have options, right? If you don't extend Tevin Jenkins, this guy can plug in. If Nate Davis isn't up to par, this guy can plug in. So I think the Bears adding a guard in the 3rd or 4th round, if they don't sign one in free agency, makes some sense. And Zach Zinter is a guy that I would really like to bring in here. Dallin Holker, the tight end out of Colorado State, which wraps up this mock draft. He was at the Shrine Bowl in Frisco, which special teams coordinator for the Bears, Richard Hightower, was the head coach of one of the teams down there. The Bears had some presence down in Frisco as well, and he was one of the winners. He stood out in the Shrine Bowl, had a good season for Colorado State, almost 700 yards. I think he had 6 or 7 touchdowns as well. Good receiving tight end. And remember, the Bears have Cole Kmet, a very good tight end, but Shane Waldron wants to use 12 personnel, 13 personnel sometimes, which is multiple tight end sets. So they need to add to that room. I would like to bring back Mercedes Lewis as tight end 3, great blocker, but you need that U tight end, someone who can work the seam, get out and run routes. I don't think Robert Tonyan was that effective this year. I think they let him go. A guy like Holker on day 3, I think, could fill that void. All right, just to recap here, Bears mock draft 14.0. You get the Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze combo in the top 10 picks. Trade Justin Fields for a 2nd and a 4th. You get Lab McConkey in the 2nd. Javon Bullard, both from Georgia, on day 2. Blake Corum with that other pick from Washington at 102. You get Ohio State defensive tackle Michael Hall Jr. in the 4th. Zach Zinter, offensive lineman out of Michigan, in the 4th. And then Dallin Holker, the tight end out of Colorado State, to wrap things up in round 5. Get your red pen out. Grade this Bears mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. I thought it came out pretty well. In a draft Caleb Williams style draft, I think we did about as good as we possibly could have here. Double it up at receiver. You get Blake Corum, get a lineman and Zach Zinter, but obviously they're mock drafts for a reason. We'll have to wait and see how the real thing pans out. All right, guys, hope you're enjoying your weekend. Hope you enjoyed the Senior Bowl. I certainly did. My name is Harrison Graham. We will be back soon with more Bears coverage, so subscribe today, and we'll see you next time.